Hey, so when I launched my first course ever, I had barely a list. I had no marketing experience. I had no knowledge of actually how to, do this. But yet in that first weekend, I made 21,000 in sales from an email list of just 2,000 people. And so I think anyone today can benefit from the lessons I'm going to share here. There's going to be three key pillars. And so I'm also running a test too, because I think most people don't really think it's possible. And I'm not really talking to everybody. So as I see that retention drop, I know this is going to be a special video for just a few individuals that are actually in that space where they see the opportunity and they're going to go for it. So I love the fact that you're sticking around because there's going to be three key components. It's going to be the offer resonance, the mechanics around the launch, and then the mindset shift that occurred for me that got me from being sort of this like passive observer of what was going on to actually delivering a product where people were really thrilled and happy and I was able to make some money. So the first piece of that would be the offer resonance. And what I mean by that is, whenever you make a sale online, whether that be a $10,000 consulting package or a $300 course, in this case, it was closer to the $300 course level. It's understanding, does that offer resonate with your audience? And I think about it as, how do you find that out? For me, basically ask the audience. I put out surveys saying, hey, what are you looking for? What are your key sticking points? What are you struggling with today? And now by asking the audience, you're already, within a space where you're able to get that feedback. And so I see this on Instagram where people kind of put in a little box and they type in whatever. YouTube, it might be a little trickier, but basically the idea is you want to actually survey and talk to your audience. And then when you talk to 10, 20, 50, 100 people, and you start to see that same pattern erupt of, hey, I'm struggling with, in this case, it was a money course. So they were like, I'm struggling with how to invest and what to invest in and how to begin investing, right? So then when we then took that offer to the market, we were able to say, hey, this course includes how to invest, how to start investing if you've never started investing before, those sort of things, right? And so you're able to offer exactly what your audience wants. Now, the second component I would say are the launch mechanics. Now, if you noticed, the launch has already started by surveying and asking the audience, hey, what do you want? I include that as sort of the pre-launch content. And by that I mean before the launch even begins, before you release your product out to the market, you're sort of building the buzz around, hey, I'm working on something, I've spoken with people, you've told me your complaints. And I think for me, and I've seen this again replicated across a lot of creators I've worked with, but I think that builds a lot of trust, that builds a lot of authority, that builds a lot of just, less pie in the sky, more tangible on the ground working with people. And also, I think it's just more fun to do that. Here I am shooting a video in my room here, in this extra studio here, and it's what helps me is understand that there's probably a handful of people that are actually watching the video up to this point that are going to benefit from these lessons because they're like right at that cutting edge, that tipping point. And I'll dig into that in the third point, the third pillar of this video. But it's not about going viral. It's not about a large audience. It's about speaking to the person that you see on the other end of this, making it more tangible. And that's where, again, with the launch mechanics, it's understanding that by surveying the audience, by understanding what's going on, by actually speaking to prospective clients or members, you're able to get real-time feedback on what they're struggling with. So I've harped on this point long enough, but included now in the next phase there of the launch is sort of the release of the product. I consider that sort of, how to actually get people to buy. I think about it as people can see the value. And what does value mean, right? At the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, you're solving problems. And we live in a service-based economy. And so your services, yeah, there's going to be there's going to be features to your services. There's going to be sort of the nuts and bolts of what you do, but at the end of the day, you're solving someone's problem. So what is the solution around that and having that embedded in your offer? So if somebody's learning, how to go to the gym and which weights to lift, those are sort of the features. You can show them the workout schedule, but the benefit is really what they want. They want that, they want to look good at the summer wedding. They want to look good in front of their friends. They want to feel good in their body, right? Those benefits you need to articulate. And so that was part of the launch, right? It's sort of expressing, hey, here are the features, but really emphasizing the benefits associated with those. And then also too, people aren't going to immediately say it, but basically it's like saying, hey, we've got a community, we've got virtual events. It's sort of embedding those extra benefits so that they feel plugged in. And oftentimes it's usually accountability, community, growth. I mean, those are things people really want. And when it comes to money, again, it's like you can be a self-made millionaire at 29 and follow something similar to my story, but also it's not just about the money, right? It's sort of like the benefits, right? It's the peace of mind. It's the calm, the serenity you get from not having to stress about money. It's from, and now we'll sort of shift into the third pillar, the mindset around this. I was saying it kind of earlier, but the idea is we live in this service-based economy, and at the end of the day, you're solving people's problems. So I had this ick around sales and marketing, and that made me hesitant to release anything to the market. That made me scared that if I did ask someone for money, that people would be like, you know, screw you and whatever, right? And I had this idea, but by shifting it to I'm helping someone solve a real problem for them, it made it just more human. It made it like a lot easier. So if you're on that sort of phase of where like you don't like marketing or sales, just rephrase it, because I think about it as all of that. So those three pillars I would say were huge for me to go from basically a small list to making that $21,000 in one weekend. And the nice thing there is that it's very easy to build up from there. But that first step from going from me from 0 to 1, in this case it was 0 to $21,000, that's the hardest step. That's like becoming 0 to 1. That's the hardest thing. So if you got something of value out of this video and you know someone that might benefit, highly recommend sending this video to somebody else. It's referrals like that that are going to help this channel grow. And as you can tell, I'm fixating lately on personal finance, making more money, keeping more of the money that you make, building wealth, financial freedom, all the same stuff I built in the past from my business 1.0 before that got acquired by Motley Fool. I'm basically bringing a lot of that content back to the market, but it's all in that same venue of or that same lane of looking at entrepreneurship, solving problems, just like we talked about in this video. And, part of that is also just being more productive, being more in tune with it, sort of enjoying the process. Hopefully you can tell from this video, I do enjoy sharing the knowledge. But it's a lot easier if I can sort of see the transformation in other people. But having done this now for over 10 years, I know this type of content lands with the people that need to hear it. And that's really what makes the difference for me personally. It makes it all worthwhile. And that brings the joy back. And then also subscribe if you want to hear more content like this. Excited to be bringing out more videos this year. Until next time, peace.